Hi everyone! In this video, we will have the distance formula. So this is a lesson in grade 10 mathematics. So for those who haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to be updated of the latest videos. To my subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Let's begin. What is the distance between the points 4, 2 and 4, negative 3? So if we will locate these 2 points on the Cartesian plane, they are this and this. So 1.42 is in the first quadrant and 4, negative 3 is in the fourth quadrant. So how far are they from each other? So we can just count here like this. 1 unit, 1 unit, one, one, one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So that is if we can see them here on the Cartesian plane like this. But if we don't know, if we can't locate them, it's difficult to locate them and count the number of units. If we already have big numbers, then we will just subtract. So the distance between 2 points is the absolute value of the difference of their coordinates. But in this case, we have only the difference is only in the y values. So we will subtract the y values. So negative 3 minus 2. And get the absolute value of that. That will be the distance from this number 2 here and negative 3. So for the x coordinate, there's no problem because they're the same 4. So negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5, and absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5. So the distance between 4, 2 and 4, negative 3 is 5 units. So what we do is just we subtract and get the absolute value of the difference. That is if the points are aligned vertically because the x values are the same. Also, we can do that if the points are aligned horizontally. Let's have another example. What is the distance between negative 1, negative 4, and negative 1, 3? So in the Cartesian plane, negative 1, negative 4 is here on the third quadrant, and negative 1, 3 is on the second quadrant. So as what you can see here, we have again two similar x values or x coordinates here, negative 1. Therefore, the 2 points are aligned vertically. So what we do here is we just subtract the y values and take the absolute value. So the distance between those 2 points is equal to 3 minus negative 4. We just subtract the y. 3 minus negative 4. That is positive 7. And the absolute value of positive 7 is 7. So the distance between the two given points is 7. Question: what if you start with negative 4 and then subtract 3 from negative 4? Will we get the same answer? Yes, because we are taking the absolute value, meaning to say our answer is always positive. So absolute value of, say for example, you started with 4 and then minus positive 3. So still that is negative 7. Absolute value of negative 7 is still 7. So there's no problem if you start with negative 4 and then minus 3, or you have 3 minus negative 4. You will get the same answer since we are taking the absolute value of the difference. So the distance between these two vertically aligned points is 7. What is the distance between negative 4, 2 and 2, 2? So as what you can see here, we have this time two similar y values and different x values. So let us locate them on the number line. Negative 4, 2 is there and 2, 2. So as what you can see here, this time the points are horizontally aligned, because they have the same y values. So if we will take the distance of these 2 points, we will just subtract the two x values and get the absolute value. So we have 2 minus negative 4. So 2 minus negative 4, that is positive 6. And the absolute value of positive 6 is 6. So the answer is 6. So negative 4, 2 and 2, 2 are 6 units away from each other. Okay, what is the distance between negative 1, 0 and 3, 0? So negative 1, 0 and 3, 0. Just subtract the x values and take the absolute value. So 3 minus negative 1. So we have here the 3 minus negative 1 since the y values are the same. So 3 minus negative 1 is positive 4 and the absolute value of positive 4 is 4. So these 2 points, negative 1, 0 and 3, 0 are 4 units away from each other. So the distance is 4. Okay, how about this one? What is the distance between 1, 1 and 5, 4? Where is 1, 1? On the first quadrant, and 5, 4 is also on the first quadrant. As what you can see, they're not anymore horizontally aligned or vertically aligned. So, what do we do if we have this kind of example? A while ago, if they're vertically aligned or horizontally aligned, we just subtract the x values or the y values because the other values are the same, and then take the absolute value. How about this time? Both are different. 1, 5 for the x, and then 1, 4 for the y. So what do we do if we have this one? So here we apply the distance formula. So in this case, we need the distance formula. So what is the distance formula? Okay, let us consider these 2 points on the Cartesian plane. Okay, aligned here at x sub 1 on the x-axis and y sub 1 on the y-axis. And the other one aligned to x sub 2 on the x-axis and y sub 2 on the y-axis. So what are their coordinates? So the coordinate of this point, let's call this, for example, point A. So the coordinates are x sub 1, y sub 1. And for this one, let's say, for example, that is point B. So the coordinates are x sub 2, y sub 2. What is the distance between these 2 points, A and B, if we are given with the coordinates of the points? Okay, so that this green line is the distance. Let's write it as D. So in order for us to solve that, we need to drop a vertical line here and a horizontal line. We will draw a horizontal line here in such a way that we form a right triangle. Okay, a right triangle. So what are the coordinates of this point so that we will form a right triangle? So this is aligned to x sub 2 here on the x-axis and to y sub 1 on the y-axis. So its coordinates are x sub 2, y sub 1. And then we will use the sides of this triangle to solve for this. Also, as what you can see here, we form a right triangle and we will use the Pythagorean theorem to solve for this value. This is the hypotenuse of the right triangle and these two are the legs. But how long are each leg? So for this one, for this horizontal line here, this side of the triangle, that is, since we have these 2 points are horizontally aligned, we just take the absolute value of the difference of the x values. So x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So that is how long it is. Since the y values, y sub 1 and y sub 1 are the same. How about this side here? how long is this side? So as what you can see, the x values are the same, x sub 2 and x sub 2. And the y values are different. So we will just subtract the y values, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, and take the absolute value, as what we did in the previous examples. So the distance between this point here and this point here is absolute value of y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So we now have the length of this side of the triangle and another, this one. So we have already the lengths of the two legs. So we can solve for the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem. What does the Pythagorean theorem say? It says that the sum of the squares of the two legs of a right triangle is equal to the square of the hypotenuse. Meaning to say, if we square D, that is equal to, okay, so if we will look at it here, the square of D is equal to the square of this plus the square of this. So d squared is equal to x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Okay, so the absolute value is removed because anyway, this is squared. It will always be positive. The answer here will always be positive and here also positive. And then if we take the square root of both sides, the square root of d squared is d, and the square root of this whole thing is you just put the square root symbol. And this is what we call the distance formula. So if the coordinates of the 2 points are given, we can identify the distance between them by using this formula called the distance formula. So d is equal to the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Okay, let us apply this formula in the given problem. Okay, so a while ago, we have this one. Find the distance between 1, 1 and 5, 4. So we can have this 1, 1 as our point A with coordinates x sub 1, y sub 1, and 5, 4, we will have that as x sub 2, y sub 2. So the distance formula is this. So you just substitute. X sub 2 is 5. X sub 1 is 1. That's why we have this. Squared plus y sub 2 is 4. Y sub 1 is 1. So you just substitute. And then 5 minus 1 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So we will have 4 squared plus 3 squared. So the square root of 4 squared plus 3 squared. 4 squared is 16. 3 squared is 9. 16 plus 9 is 25. The square root of 25 is 5. Therefore, the distance between 1, 1 and 5, 4 is 5 units. So the distance is 5 units. So what's important here is you have to identify your x sub 1, y sub 1, and x sub 2, y sub 2. What if you represented this 5, 4 as x sub 1, y sub 1, and this 1, 1 as x sub 2, y sub 2? It's fine. The answer will still be the same. You can verify on that. Okay, let us have example number 2. Find the distance between negative 6, 1 and 6, negative 4. So how far are these 2 points from each other? So we can represent negative 6, 1 as x sub 1, y sub 1, and 6, negative 4 as x sub 2, y sub 2. So we need to memorize this formula and put it there. First, the difference in the x's, you square it, plus the difference in the y's, you square it, and then take the square root of the sum. So x sub 2 is 6 minus x sub 1 is negative 6. That's why we have here 6 minus negative 6 squared plus y sub 2 is negative 4. That's why negative 4 here. Minus y sub 1. Y sub 1 is positive 1. That's why we have this here. Copy squared. What is 6 minus negative 6? 12. How about negative 4 minus 1? 5 or negative 5. So we have here 12 squared plus negative 5 squared. What is 12 squared? That's 144. What is negative 5 squared? That's 25. 144 plus 25 is 169, and the square root of 169 is 13. So the distance between the two given points is 13. If you have any questions, please write on the comment section below. Okay, let's move to the next example. Example number 3. Find the distance between negative 2, negative 3, and negative 10, negative 7. So represent them. Okay, x sub 1 goes always with y sub 1, and x sub 2 goes with y sub 2. Okay, and then use the distance formula. So replace the values. X sub 2 is negative 10, so replace this with negative 10. Minus x sub 1, replace this with negative 2. And then y sub 2 replace with negative 7. And y sub 1 is negative 3. What is negative 10 minus negative 2? Okay, so in this kind of operations of integers, many get wrong in this one, in subtracting integers. So you have to be careful in this. So we follow the rule of addition in subtracting integers. But before that, we have to change the operation to addition and change the sign of the second one here, of the subtrahend. Okay, so negative 10 minus negative 2 is the same as negative 10 plus positive 2. So that is negative 8. And then negative 7 minus negative 3 is the same as negative 7 plus positive 3. And that is negative 4. Negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 4 squared is 16. And 64 plus 16 is 80. So that is 80, and 80 is not it's not a perfect square. So what we can do is we can just factor and take out the perfect square factor of 80. What is the largest square factor of 80? 16. So 80 is 16 times 5. And the square root of 16 is 4. So we can take the 4 out, because this is going to be square root of 16 times square root of 5. And square root of 16 is 4. So 4 square root of 5. So the distance between the two given points is 4 square root of 5. So since that's square root of 80, it's less than square root of 81. That's about 9 units. Okay, more than 8 units, but not greater than, or did not reach 9 units. Okay, next, another example. Find the distance between negative 8, 0 and 0, 8. So we can have negative 8, 0 as x sub 1, y sub 1, and 0, 8 as x sub 2, y sub 2. So in this example, we don't have illustration anymore. We will just use the distance formula. So x sub 2 is 0 minus negative 8 squared plus 8 minus 0 squared. 0 minus negative 8 is positive 8. And then 8 minus 0 is also positive 8. And then 8 squared is 64. So 64 plus 64 is 2 times 64. Okay, so we just factor that directly because 64 is a perfect square. So we can take out 64 and have 8. So the distance is 8 square root of 2. So 8 square root of 2 units. Okay, example number 5. So this example number 5 is kind of different. This is not directly asking for the distance, but this is asking for the x coordinate of 1 point. Okay, the distance between A with coordinates 3, 1 and B with coordinates x, 7 is 10. If B is in the second quadrant, find x. Okay, let us use the distance formula. So we can have this as our we can have this as our x sub 1, y sub 1, and this is x sub 2, y sub 2. So this 10 is the d, the distance. So let's substitute d, replace d with 10, replace x sub 2 with x, this one, and then minus x sub 1 is 3. That's why we have 3 here. Plus squared plus y sub 2 is 7. That's why we have this. Minus x sub 1, y sub 1 is 1. And copy squared. And then we will have this 7 minus 1 is 6. And then you can just square it immediately. So this one is 6 squared. So that's 36. And then, so that the square root will be removed, we will square both sides of the equation. Square. So if you will square this, because square root is exponent 1/2. So we will have 10 squared is 100 equals, copy this, plus 36. And then since we are solving for x, we can put 36 to the other side. That's going to be negative 36. So 100 minus 36 is x minus 3 squared. That is 64. Copy x minus 3 squared. So how do we solve this? We can extract the square root. Square root of 64 is positive or negative 8. And then square root of x minus 3 squared is x minus 3. So x minus 3 is either positive 8 or negative 8. So x minus 3 is 8, positive 8, or x minus 3 is negative 8. So if x minus 3 is 8, then x is positive 11. Because the negative 3, you will put it here. It's going to be positive 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. Here, x is going to be negative 8 plus 3. So negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. But which one will we choose? Or do they both satisfy the conditions? X equals 11 and x equals 5. Which one are we going to choose? Okay, not x equals 11, but x equals negative 5. Why? Because B is in the second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, x values are negative. So in the second quadrant, we have a negative x and a positive y. So this one here, if you will choose x equals 11, that will give you a b that is on the first quadrant because you will have 11, 7. That's on the first quadrant. So you have to choose negative 5 so that b will be in the second quadrant. So x equals negative 5. So negative 5. Okay, so for your practice, I'm just asking you here to find the distance between the two given points. So if you need more time, then you can pause the video. So you will apply here the distance formula. So by the way, again, I want to thank all my subscribers for those who supported me, my students who gave me a very nice comments. So thank you so much for your support. I hope that you will continue watching the videos because this one is made really for you. So thank you so much for supporting. So for those who haven't subscribed yet, so please subscribe to this channel so that you will learn your math lessons For those who are watching who graduated already in high school, please share this with your cousins or your nieces, nephews who are still studying in high school, because my purpose here is to help you in your studies, especially here in this channel. I will help you in your mathematics lessons. So the advantage of watching YouTube videos is you can study at your own pace and you can replay and pause the video. Unlike in your regular class that if you haven't heard your teacher discussing, then you will not be able to get the lessons anymore. And it's difficult for you to study the book. So here, this is an offer for you so that you will have another reference or a supplement material for your study, especially this time of difficulties that sometimes we opt to have the modular learning or blended learning. So these YouTube videos can really help you. Okay, so if you're not done yet, please pause the video because I will reveal the answers. So for number one, it's 5. Number 2, 13. Number 3, 10 square root of 2. And number 4, 2 square root of 34. So if you got 4 in this set of exercises, then meaning to say you already know the distance formula. So congratulations. So again, thank you for watching this video. Comment, like, and subscribe. Bye!